Introducing the StayFuse interdigital fusion system. StayFuse is a two-part titanium implant and has been developed as an alternative to 1.1 mm K-wire. It is designed to eliminate the common complications and concerns associated with K-wire fixation. The advantages of the StayFuse system are as follows. The patented snap connection functions as a result of the fluted male component. This small cut in an otherwise normally threaded connection enables the remaining material to flex just enough to allow a straight, ratcheting insertion of the male component with its aggressive Z-lock thread profile into the female component. The result is a two-part implant that snaps together and secures the bones in a close approximation. An additional key feature of this innovative device is the connection hex machined onto the base of the connection mechanism. Once interlocked with the matching internal hex of the female implant, rotational stability never before available is achieved. Minimal instrumentation is required for the StayFuse system. All StayFuse instruments are supplied in an autoclavable case. The instrumentation consists of a universal driver handle that will accept the various piloting and driver bits. The transfer template is an optional instrument that may be used to make exactly opposing impressions and assist with the pilot hole alignment. Piloting for the StayFuse device can be accomplished by power. If necessary, the surgeon may use the optional chuck adapter to reduce the 1/4 inch pilot bit and utilize an 1/8 inch power chuck. In a majority of cases, however, the surgeon simply pilots by hand. Prior to the procedure, the surgeon reviews a preoperative radiograph to assess the patient's anatomy. Using the clear overlay template, the appropriate implant size is identified. Keep in mind when sizing for the StayFuse device that resection will shorten both bones. Next, locate the corresponding pilot hole bit and the appropriately sized implant components. Following a typical resectional arthroplasty, check the toe length and alignment prior to further preparation. The optional transfer template can be used at this time to create exactly opposing impressions and assist with the alignment of the piloting process. Using the chosen pilot hole bit, make impressions in each of the bones. Use the long end of the bit and drill the proximal phalanx. The bit is designed to match the implant. You will notice a flare at the base of the bit designed to clear a path for the implant's hex head. With this in mind, be sure to drill all the way to the bit's shoulder. Turn the bit around and use the short end to drill the middle phalanx. The pilot bit is then exchanged for the driver bit and the implant is engaged for insertion. Using the driver bit and handle, screw the female component into the proximal phalanx. Continue until the implant's drive hex is flush with or slightly buried beneath the bone surface. Please note at this time that by implanting the female component first, the surgeon avoids having to work around the protruding male connection mechanism. When the female component is flush with the bone surface, use the same driver bit to then screw the male component into the middle phalanx. Here you see the StayFuse device seated and ready for reapproximation. Notice that the driver hexes are both buried within the bones, leaving only the male connection hex and the connection mechanism exposed. To reapproximate the joint, grasp and distract the middle phalanx. Bring it up and in line with the proximal implant. This step is critical to the success of the procedure. Be certain to align the implants before applying compression. Failure to do so can damage the implant and adversely affect the holding power of the device. Once the components have been lined up, use slow but adequate force to compress the two halves. While applying moderate pressure, rotate the implants slightly until the connective hex is engaged. Then, apply sufficient pressure to snap the implants through all cycles until the bones are opposed and approximated. Approximation can be verified by probing alongside of the connection mechanism and between the bones. However, we strongly recommend radiographic evidence of the snap connection. With the StayFuse implant ratcheted full cycle and the bones held in a tight approximation, the site is now ready for closure. Let's look now at a StayFuse surgical procedure. The surgeon begins having already identified an appropriately sized implant. The most common approach is a 2 cm dorsolinear incision over the PIP joint. Remove the ligaments from the PIPJ and clamp it safely away from the surgical site. Resect the articulating surface from the head of the proximal phalanx, creating a flat surface that is 90 degrees to the central canal of the bone. Next, resect minimal bone from the base of the middle phalanx, creating 2 flat opposing surfaces. Use this opportunity to verify proper toe length and alignment and make any necessary corrections before proceeding further. Using the long end of the pre-selected pilot hole bit, drill the proximal phalanx. Center this pilot hole down the intermedullary canal and continue drilling until reaching the shoulder of the bit. Turn the bit around and prepare to use the short end. Use the short end to drill the middle phalanx. Again, center and drill straight down the intermedullary canal, continuing to the shoulder of the bit. The bones are now prepared for the StayFuse implant. Toe length and alignment can still be conveniently verified at this time. Using the appropriate driver bit and handle, insert the female or proximal implant into the pre-drilled hole. Be sure to continue until the driver hex is flush with or very slightly below the bone surface. Repeat the procedure on the middle phalanx, again inserting the implant until the driver hex is at or very slightly below the bone surface. Please note this important observation. By implanting the proximal or female implant first, the surgeon avoids the inconvenience of having to work around the protruding male connection mechanism. To reapproximate the joint, grasp and distract the middle phalanx. Bring it up and in line with the proximal implant. This step is critical to the success of the procedure. Be certain to align the implants before applying compression. Failure to do so can damage the implant and adversely affect the holding power of the device. Once the components have been lined up, use slow but adequate force to compress the 2 halves. While applying moderate pressure, rotate the implant slightly until the connective hexes engage. Then, apply sufficient pressure to snap the implants through all cycles until the bones are opposed and approximated. Approximation can be verified by probing alongside of the connection mechanism and between the bones. However, We strongly recommend radiographic evidence of the snap connection. With the StayFuse implant ratcheted full cycle and the bones held in a tight approximation, the site is now ready for closure. By eliminating the K-wire from this procedure, we increase the potential for successful unions. We eliminate the possibility of pin tract infection as well as the need for pin removal. We add rotational stability and target the affected PIP joint while leaving the distal joint healthy and unaffected. In addition to the obvious advantages is the most desirable benefit of all. The patient's perception of this intermedullary solution may be more positive than that of patients who endure external pins.